wanted to get you something up on the pod today, give you some audio, give you some content, give you some conversation between myself and Tom. Good day. Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody. Happy Inauguration Day. Happy, what else is today? Is there anything else? Freezing cold day? Something else? I was trying to, I don't know. I was catching up. It's a casual conversation day for Tom and I. That's what it's going to be. There's no good afternoon and welcome to this one. It's just hope you're enjoying your Tom's in the mountains where it's 11 and it was 20 something here when I got up early this morning to walk the dogs. I even had by chance to wear the thickest of my Florida State sweatshirts that I own. It's I don't often get to wear this one.
It's one of the great commercials in refreshment drink history is Lipton Brisk. That's brisk, baby.
Yeah.
It's got there's a little bit of bite to the air up here. Yeah.
There's a little something to it. Well, I take it that you, like everybody else in America, got to take in the football over the weekend and into last night. And it was, it sat on the screen properly yesterday, did it not? That's the beautiful thing. I think as football fans, love snow games. We love inclement weather games. We love when it real like that Philadelphia Los Angeles game, but the second half, that was a thing of beauty. Not even like there are moments where you can't see. You can't even see. You're like, oh, that camera angle won't work, guys. That's a beauty. That is a beauty. So we got a little something of what we wanted. I thought the snow was better in the Philly game than the Buffalo game. Snow in the Buffalo game really didn't materialize in the way that I had hoped. But we got it for that Rams-Philly game.
We did, and look, it changed the way you play, but it didn't materially change the game like we were afraid that Buffalo and Baltimore might be by the temperatures, that it wasn't going to resemble what it would look like if they were to face indoors. The temperature does have an effect, but I don't think it got into the integrity of the game where you're saying, well, I don't know. The Kansas City-Miami game last year that was on Peacock, remember that one? And it was 6 degrees. The temperature affected the nature by which that game was played. I didn't get that sense yesterday. I don't know if you did.
No, what you learned yesterday was don't turn the ball over. The lesson of yesterday was don't turn the ball over and you win. Bottom line is Baltimore turned the ball over 3 times and deserved to lose because of it. They also did it to a team that led the league in turnover margin. Buffalo did 2 things exceptionally well all year long. They won every one of their games they played at home, and that's still true, 10-0. And they turned people over repeatedly to the point where it's not flukish. So, I mean, there you go. You can't, and Lamar said it after the game, and that's going to be a tough thing for him to reckon with right now because he had a great second half, but the first half counts too, and he was terrible in the first half. And it's got to be so tough where the margin for error between those 2 teams is so small. I mean, you cannot make mistakes. If you do to the other, you'll lose. And the mistakes were on display. It's long before the Andrews drop and fumble. It's like the little things in the first half that, admittedly they catch up with you in a 2-point game. I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal, but that's their reality in the AFC right now.
Well, what I'd argue is that they have a large margin because they're significantly better than Buffalo, but they found a way to lose that football game. It's a steroided up version of Bucs Commanders, where the Bucs had the success rate on passing situations better than anybody this century. But the defense wasn't getting stops. So I don't feel cheated out of that. You had self-inflicted wounds that helped you lose that football game. But this is that on a different level because Baltimore blew out Buffalo earlier this season. If you think about it from that perspective, even with 3 turnovers, they could have won the game. Now, Buffalo in a tie ball game maybe goes down, Bask makes the kick, and I think we would expect Josh to drive the ball down the football field at 27-all, probably would have.
Right.
But for Baltimore, that tells you that if you're a Ravens fan today, you're significantly better than them, but those 3 turnovers is what it took. Maybe with 2 turnovers, you win the football game outright, but 3 plus a drop will kill you. And so that it's probably a very difficult thing to be a Ravens fan this morning because it's not that Buffalo's bad. It's just that you're better if you don't make these cataclysmic mistakes.
Well, you're better because of Derrick Henry. I mean, that's the bottom line is you're better because Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry is a beast. I mean, that really, to me, is the separator of the 2 teams. And when they got him going in the second half, you saw, like, this was going to be a problem. But it's really strange, Tom, because we watch these games, and I was proud of Lamar in his press conference afterwards, because I think that's as close as you're going to see anybody to just taking ownership to the fact that his regular season career is incredible and his postseason career sucks. And all of his numbers across the board, he doesn't throw interceptions in the regular season. He doesn't throw them. Oh, but he does in the postseason. He loves to. And it's bizarre. It's like, I think the number is 13 to 11 interceptions and touchdowns in his career in the postseason. He becomes a far less player in the postseason than he is in the regular season, where he is virtually unstoppable and puts up video game numbers. It's just, after a while, you're going to go, well, great, because you won't do that in the postseason. And so at some point, you just and I don't think this isn't one of those games where Baltimore fans are going to be like, well, Lamar Jackson lost the game for us like they did a year ago when he was dreadful. But I do think it's got to be a tough pill to swallow, because what do you do next year when you go into the season? It's not like Lamar's not going to ball out. He's going to ball out. You're going to amass a good record. He's going to put up gaudy numbers. He's going to be in the MVP conversation again. And he'll be, I don't know, we got to go look at the list. If he wins the MVP this year, that'll be 3, and he's never even been to the Super Bowl. So I don't think in the history of football you'll find a 3-time MVP that at least didn't go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, it's one of those deals where there's nothing you can do until it comes time. Yeah, he could go for 49 touchdowns and 1 interception next year.
Yeah,
it does. It's a thing. Now it's a thing. Like I'm not saying it wasn't the Lamar playoff discussion. It wasn't a legitimate talking point before yesterday's kickoff with Buffalo, but now, I mean, there it is.
Oh man,
this is and you're going to have to live with that. But I have to give him credit, and you're doing so for his press conference. He seems to have the mindset that understands it, embraces it, isn't
he doesn't run from
off by it. Like some guys they dismiss it, that you can tell it's they're sensitive. There's a little like Herbie energy, not to always bring him up, but you can tell they're like, oh, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't pay attention to Twitter.
Right.
Well, clearly it burns at you more than a normal, like even a normal person would feel. Lamar understands it, and he knows the drill, and we'll see if he can exercise it. It'll make him an easy guy to root for next year if he's in that situation. But speaking of rooting, I mean, for me, and you said it before we kicked off this weekend, the winner of that game was going to be the team that we're pulling for. That quarterback to get that pelt on their wall.
I think that's the thing. I think that if you're like, neither you nor me care anything about either Buffalo or Baltimore, but we both think the 2 quarterbacks are phenomenal. Like, those 2 quarterbacks are phenomenal. And we're really tired of seeing Kansas City win. So it doesn't have to be a personality contest. It doesn't have to be, it's just, okay, I'm done with Kansas City. And if you're Josh Allen, for example, it's been 3 years since you've had this moment where you got to go in there in AFC Championship game with a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and you did everything you could have done. You did throw for 400 and something yards and 4 touchdowns and gave your team the lead on the road with 13 seconds to play. And somehow, and this is the way it works, unfortunately, they blew that lead with 13 seconds to play. And because that loss is on his ledger, people have the same view of him, but his numbers are significantly better in the postseason than any other quarterback playing, not named Mahomes. It's unbelievable.
It felt like this is justice. Now it could be rendered meaningless because Kansas City wins next week, and you'd say, well, justice of what? But it felt like for Buffalo it was justice to get this result, where they're clearly not the better team on this day. But now Baltimore, I mean, it's not double elimination. Baltimore's gone, and you're better than Kansas City. And it's on a day where Josh, completes barely 50% of his passes and throws for $125 or $130, whatever it was at the end of the game.
Yeah,
like he's got that performance still in him, and it could very well happen next week because, look, Stroud got sacked every 5 seconds or was hit every 5 seconds on Saturday, but there was enough downfield shots where you're going, ooh, okay. You put Lamar, you put Allen in that situation, there's going to be some explosive plays that are coming. So, this is where go get it, man. The gods gave you one back. You were not the better team, but the gods also dealt you 13 seconds. You left the field with the lead, and you never touched the football again. It's just so here you go. It's like when New England beat Kansas City in their building.
Yeah,
And Kansas City never touched the ball.
That game was annoying because it's funny how you don't have to go back too far when you were pulling for Kansas City. Like it's how quick it all happens. You realize there was a stretch there where we were all very, 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 very sick of New England. And you loved the upstart Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs. And you're like, look, this is cool. I like Andy Reid. He needs to get him one. He should get him a title before it's all said and done. And we talked about it that way. And then the avalanche of titles happened and appearances happened to the point where they now are emblematic of those New England Patriot teams where we're rooting for anybody else but them. And we now loathe them. And, if somehow, some way Lamar wins a championship next year and then was to win it again and again, by about the third one, we'd be like, we've had enough of you. Let's go back to your choking days. Let's go. What's going on here? Yeah.
Yeah, it felt proper for Kansas City when they rallied and they beat Buffalo. It's like, well, okay. Brady was able to convert in a key situation. You don't touch the football in overtime. That was Orchids of Asia Sunday, as I recall, for Mr. Robert Kraft. And it had a way of evening itself out. I hope that's the case for Buffalo this year, but I think it's probably not a stretch that the two teams we're rooting for were both primetime winners, Saturday night and Sunday night.
Yeah, I will tell you that's the story. We kind of buried the lead. The story is Jayden Daniels. And just continues to be. I don't know if you saw Sando's piece today. It was good. He led with, let's count the days since the NFL's Final Four teams last tasted the championship round. Kansas City, 358. Philadelphia, 722. Buffalo, 1,457. And the Commanders, 12,062. It's been a few decades since Washington was here. That's crazy. That's how much damage an owner can do. That guy took a beloved, highly successful, tradition-laden franchise and buried it under the jail. He made it obsolete and he made it, unfortunately for them, very, very renowned off the field. I mean, all of the things you don't want from your owner. Making news for all the wrong reasons, doing terrible things, some of which are illegal, off the field, and not winning anything on it. That was that guy's legacy. And so in a short period of time, there's been a new owner, a new OC, a new DC, a new head coach, and a brand new quarterback. And look at these sons of bitches. They're loaded for bear. I'm a fan, just as you are, of a team in the NFC. Who lost to this team? Barely, but lost to this team. And I shudder to think what that could mean because ain't nobody beating Washington anytime soon. Detroit, your window's closed. It's over. And that sucks for them. I hate it for those Lions fans. They didn't even get back to the NFC Championship game after losing a year ago. You remember Dan Campbell telling his team, you don't know, guys. You got to appreciate this. You may never get back here. Right, my man. How prophetic that turned out to be. They're just getting started. That kid is a freak and is unflinchingly good in the face of mounting pressure every week, and it doesn't make a difference. He just makes play after play after play after play, and it's all the plays. It's the running around. It's the darts. It's to the far side of the field with touch. It's everything. This is going to be a problem for everybody in the NFC. Man alive.
It is. The only thing that they're going to have to make sure is he minimizes the hits he takes because he's too damn valuable. It's wild, some of the throws he made. The biggest one of the night, and Brady commented on it. Actually, I thought that was Brady's best night.
Best performance by far. He's starting to get comfortable maybe.
It's that post to the right, deep to the right, that he drops in the bucket when you just have to have it. I mean, he's making stupid throws, and it gets lost in the shuffle last week because of the way the game finished and the Bucs turnovers. But I thought low-key the throw of the night that Daniels made was the first third down of the game, the bomb to McLaurin along the left sideline.
Yes.
The only place it can be is a football-sized window down the sideline over the coverage and in bounds, and he did it again. And we had one of those yesterday in the Philly Rams game with Stafford down the stretch where it's near the right sideline where you go, oh my God. It was almost shades of Flacco against Denver because it gets over the coverage. But Daniels is doing that already a half dozen times a game. He's doing
crazy.
it, and it's become normal. How fast did his greatness become normal? It's wild.
Well, and you were on the air with me on Friday when we were talking about with my mom. The Noles beat that guy. Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Back-to-back seasons. I don't know how. I mean, good God, man. He is – I gush over that guy right now. Listen, I don't root for Washington. I don't care anything about Washington. I hate that they beat us. But I love watching that dude play. Holy moly. He is – it's going to get old real quick because we're all going to watch as that star emerges as – I think he's the next great quarterback in the league. Maybe he'll be the best quarterback in the league in a short time. We'll see. He's certainly on that trajectory at this point.
Yep.
Right now, while it's fresh, I want to remember this. I want to enjoy this because it gets old in a hurry. And we tear people down. Everybody does. I'm not talking about we on the air. I'm just saying, like, that's what's going to happen. He's going to be in every commercial because he's so likable. He's got a great smile. He loves to play the game. He appears to be an awesome teammate. He's having fun. Every time you watch him, you're like, he loves this. This is amazing to watch. It's everything that's right about an emerging star, which means we're going to hate him in about 2 years.
Yeah, correct. Well, you following the form of Kansas City before him and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I know it's designed not to work this way because you have divisions and auto seeds for divisions. And so therefore it's hard to do. I can't remember in my lifetime an NFC championship game with two NFC East teams. That division's always been a one-trick pony. There's one team that's kind of good, and sometimes they sneak in and they make it to a place. But you have an NFC East head-to-head showdown for the NFC title. That's cool as hell. And I get that Philly looks like a machine, but that game could go any which way. That game is so weather-dependent in terms of the wind. We got to look at the wind forecast for Sunday. It's going to be very, very important.
Well, Washington's got the better quarterback in the game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I would say that I think Philadelphia very well should have lost to the Rams. That was a turnover game as well. You get into the turnovers. I thought the meat of the game, the Rams were able to do what they needed to do. Now, in 2 games against the Eagles, neither one did they ever stop Saquon Barkley. So, in fairness, the retort against my thought about the Rams is, well, in the regular season, Saquon had 255 yards rushing against the Rams when they met. In this game, he had 205. I mean, good God, man. I mean, can we get a handle on Saquon Barkley, everybody? How would you like to be, and we know some, how'd you like to be a Giants fan right about now? I mean, not only do you get to watch this, you get to watch Washington and Philadelphia meet in the NFC Championship game, 2 teams that you hate, but you gave them their most valuable weapon, and they said thank you very, very much, and he's now had an unreal season, nearly record-breaking, I might note, is showing up huge in the playoffs as the significant reason that they're winning games. I mean, without him yesterday, sure as hell aren't winning. So it's him, and Philly's going to be good for some time to come, and Washington's going to be great for a long time to come. The Giants are dead and buried with no quarterback. Woo!
Yeah, so my cousin, Matt, he's a little older than me. He's like the taller, redheaded version of me, is married to a diehard NFL fan. He's a Giants fan. She's an Eagles fan. Good luck living in that house. And they've got a young boy. I think I know which jersey he's choosing. He's 4 or 5 years old
Jones? Now. Is it?
I don't think so. But for the Giants, at least they're so far behind that they got to work. It's with like us, 2-10 relative to Miami getting back. And we're saying, yeah, that sucks. But we got to run the ball on first down. That would be a nice start. If I'm Jerry Jones, and I just signed Dak Prescott, I'm going, I think I'm leaving this earth without seeing another one.
No, good thing he won 3. He can wear those rings and look at them. He's not winning a 4th before he leaves. Not anytime soon. It ain't happening. Time's against you, Jerry. It ain't going to happen, brother. Yeah, and I think the other part is I do want to comment on this, and it was cool to see the video of Mike Norvell on the sidelines, seeing all of his former Noles. That was cool. They're in Philly, in the snow. But Jared Verse can talk as much as he wants because he was an absolute force of nature in that football game. And the country got to see a guy who is freakishly strong. That's the only thing to say about it. Like, it doesn't make any sense that the linemen that he throws around, as big as they are, move the way they do when he just puts his hands on them. It's not even like you see it's not like he's bench pressing or squatting, or jumping, he's not box jumping. It's just his forearm making waves. He's just wreaking havoc. It's crazy to watch guys 350 pounds go flying when he hits them.
What's incredible too is just usually guys who are enforcer types, they have a
Screw
switch,
loose. Yeah,
a screw loose, and they don't seem balanced. Like it's your discussion about linebackers,
right?
You want a linebacker who might be a criminal.
Yes, who I worry about at night when I go to bed thinking we're going to have a story tomorrow where we have to talk about our middle linebacker having assaulted somebody. Sure.
Right. And or he could be good for 15 yards and an ejection once a season.
Sure.
Well, you set him off. That's what's going to happen because he has to play that way. Jared plays with this power and strength and ferocity, and yet he looks like he is in a perfectly balanced headspace for all of it, where he's enjoying it, but then he's also violent at the same. He's smiling while he's destroying you, and he's at peace. That's scary. That looks sustainable, is what I mean. Sometimes those guys have that mentality, and it's going to be their worst enemy. Like, he is at peace as he's dominating the league.
Yeah, before Braden Fisk unfortunately got hurt on a sack. But he was playing well too. And look, we said it the other day, if we were drafting quarterbacks, I love Stafford, man. He can still sling it. He was talking about his future after the game. He should come back. I mean, he's still got a lot of good football in him, and they're getting better. We thought they'd fade away. The Bucs and the Rams are very similar in the sense that both franchises get the Super Bowl, and you think, oh, well, okay, they're going to have a down year. They're going to have to reload. They're going to lose the cap casualties, all those things. And they've just been able to sustain. In Tampa, it's because of Jason Light. Whereas we got to give McVay, as the kids say, his flowers. He's a really good coach, man. He's done really good work. And that front office is drafted well.
They knew how to replace Aaron Donald. They did it. I mean, good for them. That's impossible to do, and they threw numbers at the problem, but they've got a front. It's a legitimate front. And what'll be interesting is just as your empire building here. Look, if Washington won the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be stunned. I'll say to you right now today, if they won, I wouldn't be shocked. You're in the Final Four, and that quarterback might score every time he touches the ball, every possession that they get. So they could win. I doubt they will, but I wouldn't be stunned. The empire building. The Bucs and the Commanders have the same offseason ahead of them. We need defenders. We need defenders in the worst way.
Oh, yeah. How would you like to be in the AFC as a fan or a quarterback? Everybody's trying to get over the mountain that is Mahomes. And in the AFC, if it's not Mahomes, you're dealing with Josh Allen. If you're not dealing with Josh Allen, you're Lamar Jackson. You're not dealing, it's like there's so many good quarterbacks. Now, I think this postseason, this season in general, has kind of put those three on high. You can't really put Herbert on that list anymore. People were trying to. I like Herbert. He's got seemingly more natural gifts than most anybody should ever right to, as far as big body, very athletic. He needs to run more, by the way, but he gets hurt when he does, so I don't know that he can do that. Not everybody can do that, but he's got a cannon, all those things. But he's not up there with the triumphant. At least in the NFC, if you're a Washington fan, you're in heaven because you may end up having the best quarterback in the entire conference, and there's really nobody on the horizon that you're worried about taking that from you.
Yes, the best mantle, but the in the ballpark mantle, Penix has a chance.
We'll see.
We'll see. Absolutely, we'll see. The Bucs offense has a chance to be able to go toe-to-toe. But, yeah, you're right. If you're talking about singular quarterback.
At the most important position.
Yeah, right. They're loaded. I mean, that's –
and it makes me laugh because we know definitively now that it was Daniels. It should not have been Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Bears have to go, damn it, man, we guessed wrong again.
That's right.
We guessed wrong again because I don't care who you hire, and they've interviewed 26 people. I don't care who you hire. None of them are coming with Jayden Daniels. So it's like, damn it, man. Now, Caleb could still end up being very good. We'll see. But he doesn't look like he's going to be Jayden Daniels. Not even close.
And this is one that as time goes on, I'm gonna pat myself on the back. You put your money where your thoughts
I
were.
bet on it, yeah.
But on draft day, leading up to the draft, I was just a broken record, man. I think it's Daniels. I think that's the one. I think that's the guy. We get it wrong all the time, but that one, it's just the way that beating him in the Superdome wasn't that big of a deal. He was a fine player, but that next year, that first half that they had against us, where we had a fourth down stop in the end zone early in the game, and then you just watch where he goes. Obviously, what he did to Florida is hilarious, and anytime that's on TV, I'll be sure to watch it. It's just, I don't know. There was some extra level of comfort, and the game looked like it was on rookie for him. Like, I think that's going to translate because of what's going on between his ears. Like, the one concern I had about Caleb Williams coming out of college, and again, he might be awesome too. He could.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
He just got in bad habits of trying to be a hero for USC because he had to be, because their defense was so bad, because Lincoln Riley is Lincoln Riley. But Daniels just, wow. It's just, I don't know. I hope he stays healthy. RG3 wasn't going to be this, but RG3 was special, and it would have been cool to see him play 10 years in the league and see what that turned into. I just hope this kid stays healthy for a long time because he's so much fun.
Well, I think one of the things, Jayden Daniels, and we'll get back, I do want to mention Houston and Kansas City. Houston could have won the game. They were much more physical than Kansas City. They ran the ball much better than Kansas City. It's unfortunate. They killed themselves with special teams. They got really unfortunate penalties in the first half in particular where they got screwed a little bit, which is, let's just go there real quick. So if you're a league, you're always mindful of what your consumers say about you. And for a very long time, the NBA was the one that people really had a problem with stars getting over-the-top star treatment. Now, every league protects their stars. Every league does. They have to. And there are shades or degrees of this that you'll put up with. That's a Tom Brady call. Come on. That's a Tom Brady call. That really wasn't roughing, but that's a Tom Brady call. Or I'm not real sure that was pass interference, but it was Brady throwing the ball. So they're going to call that pass interference. You'll live with some of that, just like Jordan got calls. Just like, we go through this in the NBA. LeBron gets calls.
Allen got one yesterday. I threw on the left sideline late in the game. And I don't know what the hell. Were you inventing a call? What are we doing here? Or has Josh ascended to that place that he's going to start getting those?
I don't know. I hope so. I like Josh, but I don't know. I think that nobody quite lives up to what Mahomes gets right now, and this is where I was going.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The thing of it is, you have to be careful because you do not want the integrity of your game questioned. You don't want the integrity of your game to be impugned. It cannot. It is the only thing that could bring the league down, is if people thought there was an active effort to ensure an outcome. And there's not. The games aren't rigged. They're not fixed. The NFL doesn't necessarily benefit from a city like Kansas City having the franchise that rules the day. If they were going to put a fix in, to me, it would be most of the time, if they could help it, a New York team, a Los Angeles team, something along those lines, if they could help it.
I don't know. Because of the Kansas City connection and Taylor Swift, there might be a deep state effort. I think the NFL is working with the deep state to get us to a place where they can take over. And just, we need to be careful about that one.
But what I do think is that you have a superstar who is, and by the way, I mean, the last throw where he's getting sacked and he throws the dart to, once again, a wide open Travis Kelce. How? Even in the condensed area of the end zone, we're going to leave a man wide open.
That would be the deep state at work. There's money. There's enough money there.
But anyhow, that's an amazing throw. I mean, that's a crazy throw falling on your face. We saw him make throws falling on his face against Tampa in the Super Bowl. Luckily, they weren't caught. But, I mean, ridiculous things that he's capable of. his skill set is unreal. And every now and again, he has to break it out. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. You're really good. You're really good at playing quarterback. But because he's really good at playing quarterback, and it's already something that gives the Chiefs a huge advantage because they have that quarterback, can we not do all this diva flopping about nonsense? It is so hard to watch. It reminds me when Jeter would fake getting hit by the ball. Come on, man. You're better than that. You're Derek Jeter. Don't do that. Oh, and run down to first and the ball never hits you. Don't do that. And if you're Patrick Mahomes, don't do that on the sidelines, man. First of all, it should be a flag. I'm throwing a flag because that's bitch made. I'm throwing the flag right off the bat. Like, look at you, Prima. What is this nonsense? If I could, but they can't. It's not a rule. It's not you do not get a flag like they do in soccer or like they do even in the NBA where you can get called for flopping. If you embellish, you can get called for that. And he does that. The other one is the slide that's late. The offseason has to take that away. I'll point out that it's not just Mahomes that gets that call. It's all quarterbacks that get that call all the time. It's because they slide late. And they expect these defenders to be able to stop on a dime and manipulate their body, which is already being, launched at the time, in midair to somehow avoid hitting a guy who decided to slide, his fault, way too late. It's nonsense.
Quick aside, because you say, and you're right, that these situations don't crop up all that often. But the Rams penalty for the hit over the middle, he did kind of launch in the first half. Yeah, right? Yeah. That was one of those rare instances where it's an upwardly mobile defender.
Yeah, well, that's why they called it, and it was the right call. Because when I first saw it in real time, I was like, no, don't do that. And then I went, oh, no, you can do that. He did launch into his head. If he had launched into his rib cage, I'd have been fine with it. But you can't hit the head and neck area intentionally, and I kind of think it was. I kind of feel like that one was.
I tend to agree. You're right. Yeah, it happened. The unicorn where it actually is a launch.
Yeah, it rarely happens, but it did happen there, and they got it. And listen, they did the right thing. In the NFL, it's the right thing. They don't throw anybody out of the game. They're not like going on and on like he should get the death penalty.
This is where hockey gets another thing right. Now, they don't implement it as much as I'd like, but they have unsportsmanlike conduct embellishment, a minor penalty for 2 minutes. And so what they'll end up doing, because they're cowards about it, but at least they have something, is they'll call the trip and they'll call the embellishment.
Right.
So and they'll offset, essentially. You play 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, depending upon how the rules administered. You could do that in a situation where Mahomes is near the sidelines and throws his hands up like he's wacky waving, arm flailing, inflatable tube man.
Yeah.
And you could say late hit and embellishment on sportsmanlike conduct, all penalties offset, and we're going to accept the down and we move forward.
You could, except there was no late hit there. So
I know, but they'll be cowards about it and still assess the hit. But then that way, it's still penal to Kansas City because they think they're getting something. There's a benefit, and there's a deterrent to Mahomes. Like, well, I guess it makes no difference.
What do they call it now, Tom? The NFL's done a very good job with it this year. It's gone kind of quietly under the radar, but replay assistance, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, expedited replay review system. Yeah.
Yes. First of all, I love it. They should have it, and I'll tell you something. I'll do you one better. It should exist for any penalty that's called. I mean, let's do the Belichick here. Let's just say that every one of these calls can be reviewed. If it's going to be instant, if it's going to be sped up, I mean, it most of the time when they do that, it's what we've always talked about, you and I doing.
Yeah.
Where I can watch this on my couch, one replay, I can see it. Let's make this call. Let's get this right.
Well, what's great about it is it often, when it works, it often is replayed and ruled on before we at home get to see it, which is, of course, how it should be. They should have first access before the TV truck says, let's go to 7 for the replay. Let's go super slow-mo. The referee will already be in the process of saying, after replay assist, expedited review, we have an incomplete pass. And now we're starting. Yeah, man, that needs to happen more often. You can tell, though, that there are moments where they could do that, but they don't because they need to go hit a commercial break for the play to be under review inside of 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think the thing is, too, on the one that's the one where he slides late and turns back into the traffic, which screw you. All bets are off when you're a runner and you turn back into the pursuit, man, go to hell. But anyhow, when that happens, look, I get it. That guy's reaching for his flag the second they leave their feet because the NFL has told these guys in no uncertain terms, and I know it looks like it's just Mahomes, but it's every quarterback, that if there's a hit anywhere near the head and a guy's sliding, you go to throw the flag. But they have to revisit the rule because late slides are a very real thing. It's not a figment of people's imagination, and you can tell it on the fly. And if you can't tell it on the fly, replay assist should be able to help you out. In that situation, replay assist would have just buzzed down instantly and said, by the way, got it wrong, John. They didn't hit his head. In fact, they hit each other. They didn't even touch him. So we're not calling that penalty. Pick it up. I mean, it would have taken 2 seconds.
Yep. Yeah. No, they could. The one thing where I'd fine line it for me would be holding, offensive holding. Are we really going to go get the left guard? Because there was a circumstance yesterday where Ed Oliver got held in the fourth quarter, and it was brutal. I don't think they scored on the play. I think it was the tying touchdown that they didn't get the 2-point on. Oliver got mauled. I mean, and it rises to the level of, well, you kind of have to call that.
Right.
Are we going to allow expedited replay assist to buzz down and say,
well, that's the problem with holding though, right? Because they literally do say, and they are right, you could call it on every play. If you freeze frame these things if you went down the line, each offensive line, if you went left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, and you watched very astutely during a commercial break, you'd be like, well, your boy held right there on that last play. Oh, he held on the play before. He held. Yeah, I mean, it's going down. It's going down. So I don't know if you want to do that. You're right. Then we'd never get a game in. We wouldn't be able to play the games. But as it stands now, we get Buffalo, Kansas City, and we get Philadelphia and Washington. And what an ending to that Philadelphia-Los Angeles Rams game. A lot of fun. I would have liked to have seen the Rams win, of course. I'm not a Philly guy, but Philly's where they're supposed to be, and they're doing it, running the football. And this is going to be the problem for Washington, I think, because what do you want to do? Well, you want to keep Jayden Daniels off the field. And the best way to do that is run the ball right at them and eat clock and shorten the game and, make sure that you're more physical. Philly should be able to do that. Although the last team Philadelphia lost to was Washington.
No, it's I just like the simplicity of what Philly does. Is like, here's what's coming at you. And we're not going to bail you out by deciding that, hey, let's try out the forward pass today. Let's feature Brown and make sure that AJ gets 12 targets today. Now, this is what we are. This is what we're going to be about. Your second-level defenders have to decide if it's Saquon or if it's Hurts. You're going to choose wrong. Do we gain 6 or do we gain 60? And that's just – there's so much pressure. That puts so much stress. It's what Gus wants to do, essentially. They're running what Gus wants to run this year for us.
Tonight's national championship game, real quick. Obviously, we'll get a chance to talk about this in the bonus hour tomorrow. And obviously, the national championship should mean something. I feel like it's a little bit of a letdown to some extent. Not that I've got a problem with either one of these teams being there. They've certainly earned it. And, I bet on Ohio State to win the national championship some time ago. So I'll gladly cash that in if it happens tonight. I do think they're the most complete team that I've seen. And I really do think that if you look at them across the board, you look at every aspect, it's hard for me to see a scenario by which they lose. But I think, Tom, you painted the one, which is you got to muck it up if you're Notre Dame. You got to run the quarterback. You got to shorten the game. You got to try to – look, Notre Dame does create turnovers, and they've done it all year long. They've also scored the most points off of turnovers of any team. So they've got to try to make this a, 55 play game, 50, 52, something like that.
I was going to say they should target 4 possessions or fewer a half for Ohio State. And you can do that 2 ways. Number one, how you control the football. TOP is a tremendous stat for tonight's game if it's going to be interesting, because this has the chance of being one that I don't see the second half of, like Notre Dame did for a national title in 2012. Who the hell watched that game? It was over in the first quarter. Like, all right,
well, you watch the opening drive and you watch Notre Dame get blown off the ball. This Notre Dame team's different than that, though. They're physical. They've
got a shot. This was within the parameters of possible. It's not likely, but it's not absurd to think that it could be something. But you got to play back defensively, keep everything in front of you so Ohio State drives take forever if you can rise up and stop the run with that approach. I don't know. But then also on offense, if it's 4th and 2 or less and you're on your own 40-yard line going forward, that has to be something that's an auto go. Everything you can do to extend possessions for both sides, shrink the amount of times Ohio State has the ball. I feel like if Ohio State has the ball, call it 9 full possessions, not with a kneel down or something like that, then Notre Dame has a chance. But I don't know how you do it. It's going to be very tough.
the reason that people who are pulling for Notre Dame, and the reason that those of us who just like to see a good game in the national championship are tuning in tonight and watching in the hopes that they can pull the upset, is because Ohio State has lent evidence to that capability. You've seen it too many times this year. Nebraska going into Columbus, pushing that game to the wire, dominating defensively against an elite offensive unit for Ohio State at the time, right? I mean, that's why we're excited about our defensive coordinator, was that performance. You've seen what Texas did, which was interesting. Texas bracketed Jeremiah. And so you can you go back and look at these different games and you say, okay, well, who's done something that's really bothered Ohio State in the past? Who's done something that where you can look and you see, you're like, oh, well, they did that. Iowa did that to them in the first half of a game earlier this year. Michigan. Oh, good God, how can I forget Michigan? Look what Michigan did. They were able to stuff Ohio State's running game. So, there have been moments where Ohio State was made to look very, very pedestrian.
Yeah, the key thing, this is why I love the Skycast so much. It's just you get to see from the quarterback's perspective, or in the trenches, you get a great sense. I remember the first time I watched the Skycast for a national title, you got to see Quinnen Williams for Alabama just eat up the middle, and it's fearsome to watch. In this instance of watching Will Howard in the playoff a couple of times in the Skycast, he is often late. I mean, 1 tick, 2 tick, but the receivers are so good at gaining separation that you don't notice it in the box score. You don't notice it in the drive chart. But he's going to have to help Notre Dame by being late on a couple of his passes. I have to see it before I throw it, because then there's a turnover. And, at that point, Notre Dame probably has to be +2 in the turnover margin today in order for them to have a shot. Doesn't have to be +3, but they probably need a Will Howard mistake or two like that where he's late with the football. And I do want to see if Jeremiah Smith shows any signs of frustration, because while he was bracketed last week, he wasn't bracketed all game, and there are moments where Will Howard had a chance in a one-on-one to give Jeremiah a chance either in a jump ball or just in a straight one-on-one setting, and he didn't do it. And you best feed him at some point, because he'll shut down after a while. Who wouldn't? It was 3 yards receiving last game.
Yeah, well, they decided they were going to take him away, which you can do. You can take anybody away if you really want to, but then you get exposed in other elements of the game. So we'll see. Notre Dame has lived and died all year long in man coverage. I mean, Notre Dame's like, screw you. We've got 2 great corners. We're not worried about you. We'll see. That would be bold. That's a bold strategy there, Cotton, if you're going to go line up in man against Jeremiah Smith. But hey, listen, it'd be kind of cool if he did, because that's the way they've played. That would be like, hey, that's who we are.
And you're not facing LSU Joe Burrow or LSU Jayden Daniels. Right. You're not facing that guy. You're facing somebody who's good, but he's not NFL first overall pick good. So he could still, you could be in a one-on-one. Oops, you get beat. He underthrew the ball. Oh my God, it's our ball. At that, Will Howard keeps it interesting in that way.
Let's hope we see a good one. Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody. Happy Inauguration Day, everybody. We will be back with you. I don't know if Tom and I will be able to do an hour tomorrow, but I'm going to do an hour for sure, one way or the other. And then we've got Seminole headlines tomorrow. Then Wednesday, back full show, all that goodness. But enjoy your day off. Stay warm, everybody. Safe travels, Tom. And I know you don't leave till tomorrow, but.
Yeah, let's hope. I got a notification from Delta saying we're not sure. So okay, all right, let's just get the plane in the air. If I can find one of those booths in the Abuja Sky Club, they have these telephone booth looking things where you can do meetings. If I can get in one of those early enough tomorrow, I'll join you for the hour.
Well, that'll be fun. You in a booth, a bougie booth. But enjoy the game, and I'll talk to you soon. And to everybody out there, again, have a great day. Be well. See you soon. Peace.